And right now, Nick, of course, the president's very concerned about his reelection prospects next year. He's been many people close to the president say part of the reason why he's acting even more irrational than usual over this past week are the growing concerns about the economy. But when you look at this issue of the president building the wall, this was his key promise. This promise defined his presidency. In fact, he would joke and say every time energy in the room went down, wherever he was, he would just shout out, "Build that wall." It would be, like a band playing its biggest hit. And building the wall, making Mexico pay for it, and then with a coda of him saying, "Believe me, it's going to happen, believe me," Donald Trump has to know that that's going to come back to him. Democrats offered him $21 billion to build his wall. He refused it. Republicans didn't want the wall to be built when they controlled Washington. So now he finds himself a year out from the election, and the only thing he's done, as Fox News reports, is he's rebuilt 60 miles of wall that were already existing under President Barack Obama.
So, Joe, the wall is the central symbol of his presidency. It's a physical kind of manifestation of the purpose of his presidency, which is to keep them out. But instead of building the wall and making China pay for it, or Mexico pay for it, I should say, there is no wall yet, and there also isn't any money for it yet. I think what we have here is a problem that this is almost like a condo deal he's doing. He sold the heck out of it. He's branded it. But he can't find the money, and he hasn't gotten it built yet. And he's in a bind. So in 2016, he ran on the idea that we needed to have a wall, even though we already had a wall on a lot of the border. And in 2020, he's going to run on a wall that he hasn't actually built and claims exists. And it's just a reflection of how important this symbol is to his presidency.
Well, you talk about a failed condo project. This is like a condo project where the rough outlines were sketched out, but he could never find investors. Again,
yeah, exactly.
Let me repeat it again for people that don't remember this. Donald Trump had Republicans running all of Washington for the first 2 years, and you go back and look at Lindsey Graham's quotes, John Cornyn's quotes, you look at all the Republicans' quotes, Nick, none of them supported building a wall. They said it was a stupid thing to do. They said it was a waste of money. And even when the Democrats gave him $21 billion to build his wall in part of a bipartisan, and it was a bipartisan immigration reform plan, the president said no. So here we are. He's got nothing to show for it. How does he go back to the electorate? He can't blame anybody but himself.
Well, look, if you go on Facebook, you'll see ads, and on the YouTube page of the campaign, you'll see ads where they say the wall is getting done, promise kept. So they're going to run on building the wall regardless. It's going to be their strategy. But I think for the president, look, he's a builder. He's a real estate guy. I think more than any other policy, the idea of having something to point to, a physical edifice, is particularly important to him as a person. I'm not sure if his base is going to turn on him if there isn't 100 miles of black wall with pointy spears on top or not. It's never been clear to me for them if they actually care about the wall or the idea of the wall. But again, it's amazing to me that he ran on this myth that there was nothing down there, that people were walking across the border, which was not true. There was already a wall across a big swath of the border. There was security patrolling on other parts. We did not have a huge crisis when he was elected. We have more of one now because of events happening in the world. But a wall isn't necessarily the best place to handle it. And he himself, according to the Washington Post, has acknowledged this to his advisors.
Yeah,
it's a vanity
and
project.
Again, yeah, it was a vanity project. He used it as a